Democratic lawmakers still on the lam, so to speak, avoiding a vote on a new map, which would give Republicans 5 more seats in next year's midterms. Texas is rewriting the map at Trump's request. They've got to get it done before the session ends August 19th. But with the lawmakers out of state, there's nothing Texas law enforcement can do to make them come home unless they get some help.
Should the FBI get involved?
Well, they may have to. They may have to. No, I know they want him back. Not only the attorney general, the governor wants him back. If you look, I mean, the governor of Texas is demanding they come back. So a lot of people are demanding they come back. You can't just sit it out.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott is now moving to have the top state House Democrat removed from office. Abbott filed a motion with the state Supreme Court arguing that State Representative Gene Wu has abandoned his duty to Texas. Wu says it was his duty to stop this vote.
What we're looking at is a governor who is conspiring with a disgraced president to use unconstitutional, illegal racial gerrymandering to destroy our communities. I have a duty to respond to that. I have an obligation to do everything I can to stop that using every legal means necessary.
So where do we go from here? I'm going to take it to the group chat. Isaac Dover, CNN senior reporter, Audrey Falbert, politics reporter for the National Review, and Maria Cardona, CNN political commentator and Democratic strategist. So first, this threat of the FBI, but also, you know, I noticed Wu just now, he was in front of a Texas flag, whereas at the start of the week, these Democrats were flanked by Democratic governors. They were making a big show of being out of town. Can you talk about how they play this conversation as it goes longer?
Sure. Look, Congressman Wu is exactly right. And that is that he does not work for Abbott. He does not work for Trump. He works for his voters. And what he is hearing is that he needs to represent what his voters want. And what his voters want is for him and Democrats to fight this naked, disgusting political power grab that essentially, for me, in my opinion, speaks more to the fear and desperation that Trump and Republicans have about the coming shellacking in the midterm elections than it does anything else. And it has nothing to do with doing the business of Texas, with doing the business of the voters in Texas, and has everything to do with a complete unconstitutional move that is essentially putting norms and the law and what we have done to make sure that representation is as fair as
we
possible.
Should say we don't know if it's unconstitutional yet. The Supreme Court has weighed in on redistricting, and that helped get us to where we are right now. Audrey, it was interesting because the president also talked about states that he claims are unfairly gerrymandered. He mentioned Massachusetts, which I don't know, I think is the origin of the term gerrymander. But he didn't bring that up, but here's what he did say.
I got 40% in Massachusetts, and yet they have 100% of the vote in terms of Congress. So there's no Republican, there's no anything. So we should have 40%. You know why? They redistricted.
Whenever I have this discussion with political types, they say Democrats and Republicans both do this, and, you know, obviously look at the numbers. Can you talk about how the president is presenting this to voters?
Sure. Well, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
The White House is driving this because clearly they are worried about losing the midterms. They're convinced that if House Democrats flip the House, that Trump is going to get impeached again, right? The big, beautiful bill is not polling super well right now. So they're going on offense here. They're driving this into motion in Texas. They're looking at other states as well. We may see this continue in states like Florida. Indiana, Vice President Vance is meeting with state legislators there and the Republican governor. Yeah. So that may drive
reporting
into motion.
In Missouri, similarly.
Right, exactly.
Is this unusual for a White House just to be like, hey, y'all, everyone, now's the time?
This is unusual. I would say, try to find an eighth grader who's finished their government and civics class and explain to them that this is what's going on. It would be impossible. We have a president who has said explicitly that this is not about some problem with the map other than he wants more seats that would be Republican leaning, and has told the governor of Texas to do this and the Republican legislators in Texas to do this, and they have just said, sure. The time between when he asked for it and when they called the special session is a couple of weeks, right? And then Democrats who have no other option but to flee the state, if they sat there, they would have to be part of this passing. They don't want to be, so they ran away. And now we're talking about law enforcement coming after them and being removed from office. This is just not the way the government is supposed to work, and it is part of the reason why redistricting, when it happens, as messed up as it is, when Republicans do it, when Democrats do it, and all the gerrymandering goes on, at least it only happens usually once every 10 years.
Yeah, that we had to go through
and
this.
It's for a reason, because that's when the census happens, and that's when you know how to reapportion depending on the population, right? So there is a method
Not
to that
depending on
madness.
what the White House got in the last
Exactly.
vote. All right, you guys stay with me.